Welcome to the Brownlow Tracker. This is round 3. The Magpies went over to the Lions at the Gabba and beat them. This was a very hard thing to do, and now the Lions are 0-3. The Pies were facing a 0-4 start, and they made sure that they got the win, so they didn't start 0-4. For my one vote, I gave it to Jeremy Howe. I think his rebounding off the defensive 50 was fantastic, and he also had quite a few intercept marks which held the Lions at bay, made sure they weren't able to score, and then he was involved quite a bit in their scoring and defence. So for that, he gets the one vote. I'm going to give 2 votes to Lachie Neale. While he did play in the losing team, I think he was very important for the Lions to be there, and he was one of the main reasons why the Lions were even had a chance in this game. He had 10 clearances, 35 disposals, and he was very good inside. He was very clean with his hands. His disposal efficiency was a little bit lower than what you'd probably like, but overall I think he was one of the main reasons why the Brisbane Lions had a chance at winning. Unfortunately, they didn't. In the end, I think Jamie Elliott gets the 3 votes. He kicked 4 goals in a winning game. He also kicked probably the winning goal, especially when the Lions started to get a bit of momentum. Jamie Elliott got one back. He also played really well in the forward 50, applied a lot of pressure, and therefore he gets the 3 votes for me. In the next game, we saw the Carlton Blues absolutely dominate the North Melbourne Kangaroos. My one vote goes to Charlie Curnow, who, as we know, plays up the ground really well, kicked quite a few goals. Overall, he played really well. In a game like this, you can't give too much weighting to someone who kicks quite a few goals in a game that's won by 50 plus points. While goals are still important, I think they become less important when you flog a team. So I think he gets 1 vote. Patrick Cripps gets 2. He extracted the ball from the mid very well. Just that big body, North Melbourne just weren't able to keep up with him. And Harry McKay gets the 3 votes for me because he moved up the ground. He took quite a few intercept marks. It was really good contested marking on the night. And yeah, he played up the ground quite well and was able to provide plays and opportunities for his teammates. So for me, I think he gets the 3 votes. In probably the most boring game of the entire round was when Adelaide travelled over to Optus Stadium to take on Fremantle. This game should definitely not have been the Friday night game. This was so boring to watch as a Crows fan myself, mainly because Crows lost, but the performance from both teams was just shocking. It was just turnover after turnover. But anyway, let's get to it. So in the first half, I reckon Mickey Walters probably had this wrapped up for the 3 votes. He performed, he was just everywhere. It was like there was 2 of him out there in the first half, and then in the second half he did sort of die off a little bit, and he did score 2 goals for. So I think if he kicked a bit more accurate in what was a close game at one point, I think he probably could have got the 2 votes. Hayden Young played really well inside the mid, which is a new role for him. He's doing fantastic in there. He had 32 disposals, 18 kicks, 8 marks, 7 tackles. He performed really well, but the 3 votes definitely have to go to Alex Pearce. He took so many intercept marks. He was just all over the Adelaide Crows. They seem to kick the ball long. He was always there, taking the intercept mark and just putting a stop to it, basically. And for that, he gets the 3 votes. In a game that probably looked like something that wasn't going to be too exciting, at least to me, turned out to be probably one of the games of the weekend. It was a little bit scrappy back and forth, but at the end, the teams were going goal for goal, so that was awesome to watch. So for my 1 vote, I've got Zach Merritt. He had 30 disposals, 15 kicks and handballs. He had 3 marks and 6 tackles. He also had 7 clearances. He did have 4 clangers and only a point, so he might not get that 1 vote, but I think he was pretty important to the team and to their win. Jake Stringer could have also got the 1 point because of his goal there at the end, which got the game, so you could probably change those 2 around and I wouldn't be surprised at all. Now this might be a little bit controversial, but I have Nick Martin at the 2 votes, mainly because most of his disposals I thought were not purely important to the game. He did have I think it was 6 or 7 kickouts where he runs over the line, so you get a disposal for that, I believe it is, and then a kick as well. So he had quite a few disposals, but overall I don't think they were too crucial to the game. A lot of them were cheap little handballs, 1-2s. I don't think it had a huge influence on the game overall, as much as Xavier Dersma did. He kicked a goal. He also stopped 2 goals. He had a really good rundown tackle, which was fantastic. I think he had a massive influence on the game, Xavier Dersma. While he didn't have the biggest of nights compared to other players, I still think he was probably the most important person on the night. The next game saw Melbourne travel over to Adelaide Oval, and this was a really good game as well. It was back and forth. Both teams were up. It looked like Port Adelaide might have been able to run away with it, but then Melbourne came back and won the game. It was a really good game to watch, especially a Saturday night game. But for me, I've got Alex Neil-Bullen in the 1 vote. He played really well. He kicked 2 goals. He had 24 disposals and a clearance. That's pretty good for someone who generally plays forward. I think that was a very massive game for him, especially probably someone who flies a bit under the radar. I have Willem Drew for the 2 votes, mainly because his influence on Jack Viney. Although Viney did still play really well overall, I think Willem Drew was able to keep him accountable. Willem Drew had 11 tackles, 25 disposals himself, so I think he got the better of Viney. Even though Viney did kick a goal, I think Willem Drew performs better. But Max Gawn was definitely the standout for me overall. He had 50 hitouts and 20 disposals himself. I think he was extremely important to the D's getting the win, so therefore he gets my 3 votes. The West Coast Eagles actually put up a bit of a fight for probably the first 5 minutes, but then the Western Bulldogs came away with it and they performed really well. For the 1 vote, I've got Bailey Williams. He had 96% disposal efficiency, so that means he only had 1 disposal that wasn't perfect, which is fantastic. He played really well. He had 9 scoring involvements and 26 disposals. For the 2 votes, I've got Marcus Bontempelli, who kicked 3 goals. He had 16 disposals. He did move to the forward line there after a little bit of an injury scare. He also had 9 tackles, so he played really well. But I think the most important person on the night was Tim English, who kicked 2 goals himself, 24 hitouts and 17 disposals. I think he was very crucial to the win for the Bulldogs, as they call it. I think Tim English gave them the silver service. If you had to call this game at half time, I think Liam Baker would have won the 3 votes. He had 2 goals overall. He had 21 disposals, 7 marks and 6 tackles. He did fall off a little bit in the end, but I think overall he was very important in the first half for Richmond to establish themselves, so I think he gets the 1 vote. Tim Taranto gets the 2 votes for me. He had 35 disposals, 1 goal, 1 behind himself, 6 marks, 6 tackles. He also had 9 score involvements and 8 clearances. It was very dominant showing from him, and I think the 3 votes have to go to Nick Vlauston, who saved the game basically at the end there when Sydney were coming. He was sitting there waiting for that extra long kick. He actually says in the interview that he was only there because he was extremely tired, but it worked out, so it looked like an absolute genius move from him. So that's why I think Nick Vlauston gets the 3 votes. Unfortunately, this was the only clip I was able to find. There was no post-game interviews as far as I could see. Everything was about Tom Hawkins because it was his 350th game, which is totally fine, but unfortunately you just have to live with the footage. James Worpel gets 1 vote. He had 1 goal, 36 disposals. He was the highest rated player on the Oval. He had 152 Dream Team points. He was one of the main players from the Hawks that was able to keep them in the game for a fair bit, especially in the second quarter. In the first half, Tanner Bruhn would have definitely got the 3 votes. He performed really well. He had a heap of clearances and 15 disposals in the first quarter alone. He was just all over the Hawks. In the second half, he definitely didn't perform as well as he did in the first half, so I think that drops him down to the 2 vote. But I think the most important player on the day was Brandon Parfitt. He had 21 disposals, 6 score involvements and 10 tackles. I think he was extremely important in shutting the Hawks midfield down and keeping the ball in possession of the Geelong Cats. So I think he gets the 3 votes for this game. Now, before you click off this video, if you do want to make a copy of the Brownlow sheet, in Google Sheets, make sure you click on File, Make a Copy, and this will make a copy in your Google Sheets so you can make adjustments as you see fit, and you can keep track of your own Brownlow votes. So here's an overall summary of the Brownlow votes that I've given to the players. And here's the overall standing of the top 20 players in my opinion so far this year. Max Gawn in first, which is a little bit surprising to me. Patrick Cripps and Tom Green a close second. Isaac Heaney, Matt Rowell and Harry McKay with 6 votes, very close behind. So as you can see, there are quite a few players there that you just need basically one game, all the way down to Caleb Sarong. If he got 3 votes, he would be equal first. So it is a fairly close race so far. There's no clear leader so far. We are only round 3, but we'll keep a track of that throughout the year. Thanks for watching. If you like these videos, please do leave a like. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video somehow, leave the word Goliath. Please do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.